Welcome to Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated people like you. I am your host, Marye Dean Esquire at thewallstreetlawyer.com, and I ran across a really interesting story. And it is involving Amazon, and I love Amazon. I know you love Amazon, but Amazon, don't get canceled, don't get cute. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Amazon is building a new 70,000 square foot headquarters in South Africa on ancestral indigenous land. The indigenous tribes and locals are suing to block them from building it. Amazon is promising over 200 jobs. The people don't care about jobs. Obviously, it's a different type of people, different type of lifestyle. But I want to know what you guys think of it. So drop your hashtag B1 in the chat. Drop your hashtag B1 in the chat. Thank you guys for joining me on tonight on this fabulous Friday. I got some news I'll announce to you guys. I am now licensed to practice law in federal court. So I can sue people across state lines, and I'm very excited about that. Picked up that license this week. Make sure you hit the hashtag B1. Drop your hashtag B1 in the chat so we know, we're always understanding that this is the B1 tribe. You're part of the B1 nation, and we do what? We put Black people first. We put Black people first. We got Mr. Dennis Spraggins in the house tonight with his hashtag B1. Hey, how are you? Thank you for coming on in here and joining me on this Friday night. We're not out here in the club, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the channel for intelligent Black people. We are talking about profound concepts and profound things. And thank you for congratulations are in order. Hashtag Black Girl Magic, hashtag B1. Black girls you can do hard things. Beautiful Black girls, you can do hard things. And actually, it's really quite easy. The older I get, I just also had a birthday. The older I get, the more mature I get, I should say, because I feel like I'm aging like fine wine. I mean, I really do. Look, Robert Walker, hashtag B1 in the house. Thank you for joining us, Robert Walker. But back to me aging like fine wine. I really, when I look back, because I was kind of a chunky, I can't even get it. I don't want to. I brought my pictures in here tonight back from the home. I have a picture with the mayor of Houston, and you can see it all in my face, even with my picture with Barack Obama. I should have had that queued up for you. Maybe I'll queue it up next time, my picture with Barack Obama. And a baby lawyer, my face was a lot more round. And so as I've aged like fine wine, I've grown into my natural beauty, and I'm just very proud of that, because a lot of people think you're 40 and you over the hill, and no one even believes that. But it's like I really feel like my life is just beginning. So to all of you young ladies out there who are under the age of 40, honey, 40, it seems like I'm just getting started. And I can't wait to go talk about that to the children. I'm set to teach classes in 50 Cent's G Unity program. Very excited about that. I'm going to do that next month. And so I can't wait to tell them how much life and opportunity and things that they have in store from them. I just love going back to my community and my hood. But speaking about going back, speaking of going back, looking back on topic, we're talking about Amazon, who is the big bold Amazon. Amazon is the giant of giant companies. I mean, Amazon, let's see what Amazon value is. Amazon is just like a giant. What is Amazon core's value? Oh, let's look at their core values. Amazon is guided by 4 principles: customer obsession rather than competitor focus, passion for invention, commitment to operational excellence, and long-term thinking. Long-term thinking, very interesting. Amazon is really focused on long-term thinking, and they are opening their headquarters in South Africa, or at least trying to. They're tied up in court for the moment, and I'll get into the court case in a little bit. If you're looking to grow your business, please check out flynubianbusiness.com. If you are looking to manage your money, please check out flynubianmoney.com, and stay tuned for my launch with Dr. Boyce Watkins for blackwallstreet.com. If you want to find out some more information, I keep telling you we got some big things coming, and we do. Check out blackwallstreet.com to kind of see what we're up to. I'm so excited about everything that's happening. So anyway, long-term thinking. Amazon strives to be Earth's most customer-centric company. It's customer-centric. Earth's best employer and Earth's safest place to work. Now that is just really interesting, this emphasis on Earth, now that we have people who are going to other planets. Like that is the world that we're living into now. Okay. But that's not the values I'm looking at. I'm looking at value money. See how much money they're worth. Their valuation. How much is Amazon's net worth? Is Amazon, let's see what Google has to say. Here's how much money Jeff Bezos has reaped from selling. This is Forbes. Okay, so this is in Forbes magazine. Here's how much money Jeff Bezos has reaped from selling Amazon stock. Okay, just the stock though. But I guess that's the valuation of the company. I cover the world's richest. Since Amazon 1997 IPO, wow, 1997, Bezos has sold off or given away more than half of his Amazon shares. Okay, more than half. So he's not even a majority shareholder anymore. He's now got enough cash to likely buy just about anything in the world that he wants. Talk about innovation. This man has created a business that doesn't own anything. He only really created a system for sellers and buyers to interact with one another. So just to think about what is possible. For Jeff Bezos, wealth does not come from a monthly paycheck. Amazon only pays its founder a salary of $81,000 per year, not including the $1.6 million Amazon pays Bezos for security. A drop in the bucket compared to his overall net worth of an estimated $200 billion. Instead, nearly 90% of Bezos' fortune lies in his Amazon stock holdings. That is true, not just for Bezos, but also for many of America's wealthiest. And that's a big reason why they pay so little in taxes, okay, relative to their total net worth. It's also why many tycoons, including Bezos, sell stock regularly in the companies that they run. Altogether, the founder of the e-commerce giant has sold nearly $27 billion worth of Amazon stock since the company went public in 1997, Forbes has calculated. Okay, I don't want to get too far into gloating about this man's success, because with all of that money that he has and all of that, that he's gained, he is now choosing to take his money and his success, and he's opening up his headquarters, right, on sacred land. And he's tied up in a lawsuit about that. So, okay. Good Lord. Okay. So South African court postpones ruling on objection to Amazon headquarters on sacred land. So now they're trying to open up this. Hold on, let me get back to. They're trying to open up his headquarters on ancestral land in South Africa. And I want to play this little clip before I get into reading this article. So remember, guys, if you're looking to grow your business, please check out flynubianbusiness.com. If you're looking to better manage your money, please check out flynubianmoney.com. You can always find me, Marye Dean Esquire, online at thewallstreetlawyer.com. And so let's get into this.
Have dragged the tech giant Amazon to court. Members of the Khoi Khoi and San Group have now filed a case in the Cape Town court against the construction of a new 70,000 square meter Amazon complex. The closing arguments on the case were heard on Friday. However, the court has positioned and postponed issuing a ruling, and according to the lawyers, will be announced in the next week or so. Coming to the case now. The two indigenous communities say that the Amazon project will ruin the historically significant riverside in the South African capital and also harm the environment. The proposed building site lies at the confluence of two rivers, the Black River and the Leesbeek, both of which are sacred to the two groups.
We want it to be a place that we can return to say.
So that's interesting, right? Because first and foremost, when you think about South African, you definitely assume that the people are going to look a lot darker than that. That was the first thing that that came to my mind when I watched the video. But I decided to play it anyway, and I thought that this was extremely important anyway. Why? Why? Because we understand one thing when we understand who we are as a core Black people, but we are the parents of every single race of beings, every human being that's on this earth. We have birthed them. It has been scientifically proven that we came first, and that everybody else is just a mutation of Black Aboriginal people. And so with that being said, if our children don't carry the same as dark as complexion as some of the Africans, I don't, right? I'm not as dark as some of the most beautiful darkest Africans that I've seen, or African Americans, like my grandmother, gorgeous, beautiful chocolate Black woman. I always wanted to look like her. But I digress. But it doesn't matter if they're our children and they're holding true to their land and their tribe, and are able to hold on to the sacredness of what it means to be from that sacred land. You just have to respect that. You have to honor that. And I see our children are fighting up the good fight. That's what I said to myself. But the question is Amazon going to, obviously they're not backing down. They are. What did they have to say about it? Let me tell you what they had to say about it, because this was interesting, because they're not backing down. That I don't even think that's part of the. I don't even think that's something that they're thinking about doing, backing down. Tribes in South Africa are trying to fight Amazon in court after the company announced plans to have a warehouse on their sacred land. The indigenous Khoi and San tribes claim that a 9-story business complex that is planned for a site in Cape Town will destroy the environment and erase their heritage. The land is part of a battlefield where they defended their settlement against the Portuguese over 500 years ago. Members of the tribes picketed outside the courthouse as the matter was discussed last week. Building has already begun, but they are trying to stop the construction. So to me, that sounds like they are fighting an uphill battle. Building has already begun, but they're trying to stop the construction. I don't know if they will. I wish #Godspeed. I wish them the best. As they quote, we are in a situation where a terrain that is so sacred to the people of our country is not just under threat, but being damaged and destroyed as we speak, said Taruk Jenkins, High Commissioner of the Gorehana Khoi Coin Indigenous Traditional Council. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I messed that up. The developer claims that they will provide over 200 jobs to local residents and natives. They also say that they will build a museum and memorial site for the tribes. Click, do you think Amazon should find somewhere else to build? Do you think Amazon should find somewhere else to build their headquarters? That's the question I have for you. Now, it really reminds me of 2 other stories. One of them is the African burial ground that is in Lower Manhattan. And when they built the African burial ground, oh my gosh, I remember when I did a tour of Wall Street, there was so much things that I did not know about Wall Street, that I did not discover about Wall Street until I actually lived on Wall Street. And it was very surprising to me how much of American history, I didn't know America really began on Wall Street. I thought America began in the Capitol up in DC somewhere, but no, America really began on Wall Street. And the Wall Street got its name from being the wall that they built when they came over here, right off the boat, the wall that they built to defend themselves. Back in the day, they would build these walls and they would have these big stakes, and they would stand there. When people try to scale the walls, they would like stab them or something like that. And so that's kind of what they had going on there. And so that's what Wall Street was, and that's how Wall Street bore its name. And so that's why we say it was the birthplace of America, because that's when they came over here. George Washington put this flag down and said, "This is our land." There's the George Washington Monument right there on Wall Street. But right around the corner from Wall Street is the African burial ground. And on top of the African burial ground is like what they call the ABCs. African CRICANBURIAL drown. African burial ground. So when I did a tour of the financial district, when we did a tour for Juneteenth, when I had a Juneteenth event on Wall Street, we did a tour of the African burial ground. And so when you say, it's not just important to know that America got its genesis on Wall Street. That's not the only thing that is significant. The oldest building, and wait, you're not going to believe this, the oldest building in the United States of America, which is considered Francis Tavern, which is right down the street from the New York Stock Exchange, Francis Tavern, that building is owned by a man of African descent. He was like a mulatto or a muggy. He had a lot of, he was Italian, he's this, he was that, he's this and that, and he's also from the Caribbean. So that was, and that is where, it's also the restaurant where George Washington bid his troops farewell after the war. He did it at Francis Tavern because it's a Francis Tavern restaurant and museum. It is a museum, and if you go there now, you see all of these relics from George Washington. That building is owned by a Black man. The other thing that's interesting about it is because that's where, before slavery became slavery, Black people were hiring themselves out as maybe indentured servants for a day or two. So they were going down, kind of like day laborers today. A lot of the Hispanic guys go and they look for day work, and they say, they work really hard, and people come pick them up for the day and go work and take them back to that same location. So that is kind of what was going on when Black people were doing that, because all of the settlers were coming over here and they were needing people to work the land. And so Black people, indigenous Aboriginal people, were line up at Francis Tavern and hire themselves out. And that is what, and I guess it kind of turned bad because they got tired of paying them and beat them and raped them and made them work for free. And that's how slavery began. This has been your TED Talk with Marye Dean Esquire at thewashingtonlawyer.com. Now, I got all into that to say that the whole African burial ground is the ancient lands that sit up under Wall Street. And so it is always rumored, not just Wall Street in the financial district, but maybe entire New York is buried on top of the bones. And that is, we see that with the African burial ground. And that's what, reading that story about what's going on with the tribe in South Africa really sound familiar to me, because that's what they did. And they honored the land instead of, because they were building these, they put the African burial ground there. But the story with the African burial ground is they were building these federal buildings at the African burial. Make sure you drop your hashtag B1 in the chat so I know that you're here with me tonight, that I'm just not here talking to myself. Drop your hashtag B1, because we do what? We put Black people first. Federal building, federal BUIL. Top of African burial ground. I would have had this queued up if I knew that these streams of insight would have come to me. Okay, the federal office building, the African burial ground, GSA. The story, because when you go to the African burial ground, they do give you this history. So I remember this was many years ago. GSA's African burial ground project began in 1991 when, during pre-construction for a new federal office building, this is what this sounds like to me, what's going on in South Africa. During pre-construction work for a new federal office building, workers discovered the skeletal remains of the first of more than 400 men, women, and children. Investigations revealed that during the 17th and 18th centuries, free and enslaved Africans were buried in a 6.6-acre burial ground in Lower Manhattan. outside the boundaries of the settlement of New Amsterdam, which would become New York. So this is where New York began. This is where the country began. The capital of America moving to Washington, D.C. became later, but it all started in New York. It all started with Wall Street. Over the decades, the unmarked cemetery was cut, and the first commodity traded on the New York Stock Exchange was what? It was people. It was people. They were selling people. People along with rice and whatever, tobacco, I think, and cotton or whatever. But it was definitely Black people. Black people were here before they were, we were here before the settlers got here. That is a historic fact. The oldest building in the United States of America is owned by a man of African descent, Francis Tavern, right there in Lower Manhattan, right here where the African burial ground is. So it is just this, everything that's happening in South Africa sounds very, very similar to this, because they were pre-construction and people did some protesting and asked them not to build on this sacred land. Don't build over our bones. And so they came up with a compromise, and the compromise was to give us a museum. And the museum that they gave us is called the African Burial Ground. So over the decades, the unmarked cemetery was covered over by development and landfill. The finding deeply impacted, so they discovered this during the pre-construction for the federal building. The finding deeply impacted the descendant and broader community, and at the same time renewed awareness in cultural significance and historic preservation. Yes. Managed by GSA, the overall project is a testimonial to a positive and collaborative partnership between many parties, including the Department of Interior's National Park Service. Yes, they were there. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, Howard University, the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, and the African American community. Through the community's activism and commitment, because people protested the building of this federal building. You're not just going to build this federal building on our sacred land. So they had the compromise. They built the federal building on their sacred land, but they also built the museum honoring the people that were there. And so that was, I guess, the capitalist compromise. The what is my word? Conscious capitalism. So they began the move and the work towards conscious capitalism. That is my favorite word to describe conscious capitalism. Capitalism tempered with the heart. Okay. Through the community's activism and commitment, the African Burial Ground was awarded designation as a national historic landmark in 1993 and was named a national monument in 2006. I should do another tour there. I am going to do another tour there. As soon as New York eases up on some of these COVID-19 mandates, we'll do another tour there. The African Burial Ground National Monument, located at the corners of Duane and Elk Streets in Lower Manhattan, is operated by the National Park Service. Okay. It's nice, too. GSA's African Burial Ground project was an extensive mitigation response to the unexpected discovery of the 300-year-old burial ground. In 2008, the project was recognized by the White House with a Preserve America Presidential Award. These awards honor exemplary work in the preservation of cultural or national heritage assets. This complex project had several major components. Okay, so it's really nice. It is honoring our ancestors. It does the fact that the museum is there, it gives an opportunity to pass these stories and this culture on to the next generation. And I would, I have to say, maybe what would we have if they had not built anything on the land? We discovered the bones, but what would we have? The way you do honor a sacred land is by keeping it sacred and making it beautiful and honoring the beauty and the sacredness of that space, so that you can pass that knowledge and information on to the next level. So That being said, it sounds like I discovered the happy medium and what Amazon needs to do. The only response that is corporate, that is consciously responsible, and that is to honor this land some way, to honor the people and to honor the land. And you do have the resources. We just read how much resources you have. You do have the money and the resources to be able to do that. And so why not give them something more than jobs? Because I don't know if they understand. These people live off the earth. They don't want a job. It means nothing to them. They know how to eat. They know how to build some shelter from the rain. And I don't think a job would speak to them. And I don't even know if with that being said, I don't even know if a museum would speak to them just the same. But that would at least make Amazon not look like the big bad bully in a situation like this. And I think that fighting them in court. So let's see what's going on with their court case. A South African court on Friday postponed a ruling. Pause before I read this. If you are looking to grow your business, please check out flynubianbusiness.com. If you are looking to better manage your money, please check out flynubianmoney.com. You can always find me, Marye Dean Esquire, online at thewallstreetlawyer.com. And let's see, we'll get into some of the comments and see what you have to say. White people in South Africa are in possession of 80% of the land. So why encroach on African culture land? All right, Gwendolyn Turner. You're right. And here's the thing though. What do they know about African land that we don't know? What do they know? I really was trying to get there for my birthday. I actually had a trip to Cairo planned for my birthday, but I have way too many commitments, and I'm actually attending an event tomorrow with 50 Cent's G Unity program. I'm one of the business coaches, so I just couldn't really swing it with so much going on. Gwendolyn Turner, thank you for your comment, and thank you for dropping your hashtag B1 tonight. Okay, we got a Charles Brax. Blessings on all of your endeavors, Ebony Angel. Oh, thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much. We also have, let's see. So, okay. Hashtag in love. Okay. Well, and I love you back. All right. So now I'm going to read into what's going on with their court case because I want to get into that before I get off here tonight. A South African court on Friday postponed a ruling on a lawsuit. So the court postponed the ruling on a lawsuit from descendants of South Africa's earliest inhabitants, the Khoi and San, to try to halt construction of Amazon's new Africa headquarters and what they say on what they say is sacred land. What? Okay. Like it's sacred to them, the people who live there. Wow. What a way to discredit someone. The 70,000 square meter development in Cape Town includes plans for a hotel, retail offices, and homes. And with Amazon, which employs thousands of people in data hubs in the city, its main tenant. But it has faced a backlash from Khoi and San community leaders who say they represent the majority of their people. The Khoi and the San were the earliest inhabitants of South Africa, the latter roaming as hunter-gatherers for tens of thousands of years, and the former joining them as pastoralists more than 2,000 years ago. The judgment has been reserved, and we will probably get the judgment next week, one of the lawyers said. The proposed building site lies at the confluence of two rivers, the Black River and the Lasbeek, that is sacred to both groups, and objectors fear it will also block their view to the equally sacred Lion's Head part of Table Mountain. Not everyone identifying with these groups are against the project. An association of Khoi and San who support the development are among the respondents in the case. They and the other respondents, which include the project developer Leesbeek Leisure Properties Trust, the City of Cape Town, and Western Cape Province, argue they have fulfilled all regulatory requirements. And it is unreasonable to abandon the prospect of investment and jobs from a major tech company in a country in which a third of people are out of work. What? How dare they? I'm pretty sure a third of you would love to be out of work and not needing to work. That's the part that they left off. These people are living off the land. They don't need jobs. And I'm pretty sure hindsight is 2020. All the jobs and the beads and all the shiny trinkets look good from the man. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Until you realize you are a slave to your job, that you are job dependent and a slave to your job, and you have to get up and go to work or you do not eat in that system. If you knew then, if our ancestors knew then what they knew now, I wonder if we would have all made the same decision to jump on America's capitalistic bandwagon. So how do you come down? I think that these people should definitely keep their land sacred. My first vote is just to leave these people alone. You guys, you have so much money and you can go buy land and do stuff. The entire world is your oyster. Why Africa? Why Africa? Really interesting. But if you are going to do it and you are going to move forward with the construction, which it sounds like from what I read about what's going on in court and their position, it sounds like they are. At least do it the way that they did with the African burial ground and make it sacred and honor the sacredness of these people, right? Do not dismiss them. Do not think that they're not important. Do not look your nose down, but respect how they are, respect the sacredness of their land, and really prove that you are a company that has a consciousness, that your capitalism is tempered by consciousness, and that it's not just about the money. Come on, Amazon. Don't get cute. Marye Dean Esquire here at the WallStreetLawyer.com. Coming to you live on Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated people like you.